such wonderful event. Uh, okay, so the question which you asked, like you know, technological advancement, ethical investments, how do that converge into economic growth, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and how green investment facilitate water conservations. That's a great question to be asked today. Uh, you know, Green investments, when strategically channeled, is the most powerful instrument to address systematic water scarcity and conservation challenges. Uh, as far as I'm concerned, as an empowerment economist or a conscious investor, water is not just a utility, it is a human right and a foundation for all socio-economic development. Green investment can definitely facilitate water conservations by funding innovative water technologies such as air-driven irrigation systems, smart metering, which is probably happening these days now, but not widely used. Wastewater recycling. The gentleman who was a keynote speaker earlier have shown that change which has happened in Karnataka. There is a big team out of Tamil Nadu who does the same thing by, uh, you know, re-engaging or renovating the lakes in Tamil Nadu, and they're called as Kaifa, and I think they have done more than 300 lakes in Tamil Nadu, which is a great achievement for them. Kudos to the team. I personally know them, and they had been really doing a wonderful job. And obviously, uh, you know, rainwater harvesting infrastructures, those things has to be coming in. Further, nature-based solutions such as watershed restorations and, sustainable agroforestry also offer very high impact, cost-effective returns, especially in climate vulnerable economies. Uh, Through public-private partnerships and gender-inclusive investment models, we can definitely amplify the benefits of water stewardships, ensuring both ecological preservations and livelihood security. In essence, uh, green investment must shift from a risk mitigation tool to a regenerative force that ensures our ecosystem thrive while enabling equitable economic participation, particularly for women and marginalized communities who are disproportionately affected by water scarcity. I hope I answered that one, and probably would speak more on this, when if time allows at a later stage. Thank you.
Completely. So your vision on green investment, as well as, because in the previous conversation you have a great vision on having a green bank. So that resembles whatever you are speaking now. So we will move on to the next question for Mr. Jubin Mishra. As an accomplished senior leader, business executive, and strategy consultant with over 26 years of experience in industry, what is your take on rationalization of water consumption through slab-based traffic system? So how it will impact the green investments?
So, thank you for first having me on the panel. And I think my previous panelists mentioned a great context about the green investment and the water conservation. And I've actually started using the word water protection. I think more than conservation, I think it becomes it's almost like an endangered species that we need to protect at some level. And what I've been seeing in my role currently that I play as investment banker, and my previous role, I was part of a venture investment firm where I led global capacity development initiative, which gave me access to global markets. I headed the capacity building in frontier market like Indonesia, Thailand, Kenya, and other African countries, where I had seen that the interest in water has been significant. And the interest in water from a private capital can be only significant if it starts by the way the government of the land thinks about water. I think fundamentally water has been a political issue. It is a sensitive issue. Water impacts livelihood, impacts people, it impacts political choice. And we all know, sitting in 2025, almost two-thirds of the world is devoid of what you should call um, an accountable distribution of water, and it is inequitable. Water is not available to the population as it should be, as probably a resource that should not be constrained by the economic definition of the population. So fundamentally, I think if we have to look at where does it all start, my fundamental belief is we start looking at water as a serious resource that needs to be conserved and protected. We need to look at this as an economic utility. We need to have a pricing mechanism, which means we are taking into consideration the demand and supply part of the water. So slab-based tariff will create a behavioral shift. And that's been my fundamental belief all these years. And I've been talking about we need to move people from entitlement to accountability in water use. The people who are the haves, they use water because they can afford it. They are the ones who are perpetuating wastage. And that wastage means that the haves not do not have an access to water. Which means if you increase or if you look at it as an economic utility, if you look at it as from the lens of being priced, like any utility would be priced, then the slab-based tariff would also take into account who you are, how much you can pay, how much are you consuming, how much you can afford. And that will help internalize the cost of overconsumption and promote resource efficient technology, which means you would be able to look at low flow fixtures, grey water use, rainwater harvesting, stormwater harvesting, everything that we today knew about the whole principle of circular economy, which we talk about, how do I prevent, reduce wastage, reuse, recycle, and then obviously most importantly, repurpose the water. How can we claim the water? So if you look at this, the first important parameter is governments of the land looking at this utility, government in partnership with the public-private partnership or wherever water has been privatized. How do we look at this, economic mechanism of pricing and regulating consumption? Consumption regulation is going to be very important. From a green investment lens, it would also mean that you're creating a demand side incentive for water saving solution, which means you'll pave the way for startup, water solution provider. It will create a market creation in urban infrastructure retrofit. It will talk about smart metering, ESG aligned water management systems. None of this is going to happen unless we start regulating water. Regulation would not happen without changing the way we consume. Changing the way you consume will not happen unless we have pricing mechanism. So the model needs careful social calibration because you have to avoid penalizing the vulnerable population, because what happens is there is already an inequity in the population. And when you're trying to price something, you make it out of reach and out of access. It almost becomes like an hospital and a medication. And I always say that you can probably live without a healthcare facility, but water is something that you cannot look at the same lens that you look at maybe a food or a health. You will have to look at it as the bare essential of life. So you have to balance conservation measure with the regulation effort to manage this scarce resource. So in effect, a slab-based tariff are demand level enabler for green innovation. And if there is a regulatory consistency, is a community sensitization, if there's an adequate amount of public dialogue around it, public-private participation, you'd see that this can actually be a powerful tool of change, not the way we think at water, but the way we channelize water from an investment lens to at least ensure that the future generation have access to this much critical resource that we have on the planet. So that's my view on why we need a slab-based pricing and why slab-based pricings are becoming critical in today's economy and in today's global context.
Rightly said. So having a water, thinking of water in terms of economic utilization, where pricing regulation and consumption, regulation on the consumption, and it's very important. So rightly pointed, even the future our previous panel members also pointing out on the pricing of a water. This is something which is so crucial now. So we are utilizing a water and we are okay to price it. This is the first time that we are happening in the history that we are willingly to accept the government to price it. So that is serious the problem is. Thank you, Mr. Jubin Mishra, for that points. Really valid. And moving forward to again for with Dr. Abdul Manaff. As a As a stalwart in the field of business development, kindly enlighten us on the what parameters green financing in India can become a mainstream and lead to a sustainability as a way of doing business.
Yeah. Well, India is uniquely positioned to lead the global green transition. But for green financing to become mainstream, we must align policies and perceptions and participations. According to me, there are few parameters I believe which are essential, when it comes to this transition, actually, because, uh, you know, uh, if you really is serious about it, then we should have like blended, finance architecture. That means de-risking the private capital through catalytic public investments and development finance instruments. This is crucial to crowd in climate-aligned investments, particularly in Tier 2 and Tier 3 and the rural regions, actually. We need to also come up with this localized impact framework. You know, India must evolve ESG standards that are contextual, reflecting the socio-environmental realities of our region, our culture, our informal economies, and MSME ecosystems. Uh, Gender lens green investing, which means prioritizing projects led by women or the marginalized group, ensuring climate finance is inclusive. It's not for you know uh, the upper. I don't want to bring in what do you call casteism or anything into it. I rather would say that it should not be classified. It should be an inclusive and it should be a transformative thing. Again, the government has to come up with green bonds. Carbon market have to be enhanced, and ESG indexes with strong regulatory oversight and verified impact metrics have to be in place. And also, financial institutions, startups, and local governments must be trained in climate finance principle, risk pricing, and sustainable project structuring. What I should say is that green financing in India must not be an isolated vertical. It must become the default setting of economic imagination embedded into business models, supply chains, and capital markets. This is not just about sustainability or as a strategy, but sustainability as a soul of the enterprise. I think that's what my take would be on this.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Manaff, on that. Yeah, basically, it's not only the ESG what we are looking into. So it's an end-to-end sustainability initiative through full ecosystem. So that makes really sense. And we have, and my next question goes to Mr. Jubin Mishra. As an accomplished senior leader, business executive, and strategy consultant with over 26 years of experience in industry, what is your take on rationalization of water consumption through slab-based? Oh, I think we have covered this. Sorry.
Yeah, we've covered it just now.
Yes, we have covered it.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Just moving around with the questions. 1 second. Yeah. So, as a partner of a Blue Ilion, India's leading growth of investment advisory platform, do you feel there's a room for impact investment in water management?
Uh, I do things, and I think as His Excellency Dr. Manaff just said, I think you need to look at the impact investment. I have been involved in impact investment for now 8, 9 years, having worked with one of the largest impact investors in the country. Fundamentally, we have to understand where this impact investment has originated. I think we all understand that it originates from the UN Sustainable Goals for 2030, and India is miles and roads ahead, roads behind in terms of where we stand in terms of our UN sustainability goals. And fundamentally, what impact investment is trying to do or attempting to do, I don't know how far we have been successful, is to create investment trust for areas which would typically not be in the purview of government capital or a private capital in the strict sense. And we are trying to see can investment, and most of this investment can be channelized from various forms, from venture capitalists or maybe philanthropist organization, from CSR funds. Is impact going to fundamentally change the way people live in a sustainable habitat? Is it going to make the quality of life better? And if we were to look at that lens, that it originates from sustainable living and the sustainability goal, then water is at the front and center of what we need to make available to people. There are multiple lenses, what we call a green investment, what we call in terms of the climate funds, in terms of it is essentially, if I look at it, can we make access of money to protecting and conserving water? So, and if I have to specifically look at India level, and I'm making the case in India where today you have only a 4% access to fresh water for almost 18% of the world's population. And we all know India's water stress levels and inequitable access create a significant need gap, and which means there's an ideal for impact capital to address. Obviously, impact capital is always going to look at return in terms of sustainability, in terms of the impact that it delivers to the charter and the agenda. But even keeping that aside, I think there are a lot of high potential areas for impact investment. And specifically the ones that I'm seeing where three, four areas where I'm seeing investment happening in some sense. One is a decentralized water treatment and reuse solution, especially in rural and semi or peri-urban areas, as I say. I am seeing private capital, impact capital trying to look at from the lens of an ROI, from an economic return perspective, from a viability perspective. There is an interest around this because water would become a commercial utility. It will get currently the water pricing does not reflect a fair uses or a fair pricing, or it's not a market linked pricing, which is uniform. So as we slowly move toward demand and supply based pricing, the interest from an impact investment in this area would improve, which means anything that looks at the water being used in a circular economic model, which is, how do we, prevent, reduce wastage, recycle, reuse, reactivate, or reclaim water. In that sense, the decentralized water treatment and reuse solution would take a priority. That is becoming a priority, I see. The other area which I've started seeing in the last couple of years is tech-enabled groundwater monitoring, which a lot of technology in terms of monitoring solution, IoT, AI-enabled smart meters, predictive analytics. There's an interest in knowing, what you're using, what you're consuming, at what level water is available. How do we, how do we actually source that water from its, the origin? So tech-enabled groundwater monitoring, and we all know 70% of water users and wastage happens in agriculture. So how do I optimize it for irrigation? And do I make the farmer pay for it? Is there economic models around it? Can we create business models around it? So that is another area where impact investment is getting active. The third area, which is perhaps been spoken about, ideally, impact should have done a little more work on that, but nonetheless, they're coming and looking at this area again, is the micro infrastructure, what I said, for rainwater harvesting and community-based water governance, especially in rural markets, in markets which are in the arid regions of the country, and all this will become an important thrust area. Coupled with this, I think there's a growing policy push and public-private convergence. If you look at governments, Jal Shakti Abhiyan, for example, enabling more conducive water system from ROI and impact model. So with government calling in from the PPP model, government including the convergence of, an utility model with economic model, and, access with pricing, and, looking at a demand and supply in a holistic manner, giving priority conservation. The risk appetite that impact venture or impact capital has, uh, that would perhaps become a little more, little more amiable. I think impact capital would start looking at favorably. So I think that's a great area. Second, impact investors are also looking at climate resilient infrastructure and circular water economic solution, which I spoke about. So at the heart of that is the water management, right? Because if you look at smart city solution, your energy, transportation, urban habitat, water is the inseparable part of that. If you bring water, it becomes the front and center of that whole ecosystem of universe. And investors are now looking at it saying, what can I do from moving from my water portability to pure water, to save water, to water conservation, water purification, everything they are now looking at from a dimension of impact lens. And what is going to be key to sustain this interest in impact investment and maybe a private sector investment is how can we design scalable, locally adaptable model that we can combine sustainability with economic viability. Because end of the day, any form of capital will seek return, it will seek an ROI, it will seek a demonstration of an impact. And that is not going to be possible unless we script this whole opportunity and what we're going to do in response to this opportunity for investment in a manner that makes it for the conducive for the capital to come in. So yes, there is a room for impact investment, the green investments, the climate fund. There are specific water vehicles today we have. In fact, there are a lot of companies that I've seen that do fundamentally a good job in this. In fact, one of the projects, I don't know, since we're talking about impact investment, I'll take a minute. If you go to Tamil Nadu, there is, a seawater reverse osmosis plant set up by VA and VA is one of the largest, water technology companies, which is again being funded by, or it is has its roots with um, uh, East Capital, which is a sustainable fund. So uh, fundamentally, we are seeing large funds are also taking peg. There are large projects which are getting facilitated from an impact lens. So impact investment is for real, and it's going to stay here for long. That's my take on impact investment.
Yes, Mr.
If I
Jubin
if
Mishra.
I may if I may just continue where Jubin have left, just wanted to add few more things because probably I won't have time for a closing remark, because I think I have spent the whole day for Exneco. And it is definitely quite fruitful. It's not that I have just done it for anything else. As what Jubin have said, it's something to make an impact, and we are really here for that one. Sometimes, Mr. Jubin, that it's for investors like me, it's not always the ROI. Okay, there is something else which you are giving it back. But obviously, not every investor has that thought. So I might take just 2-3 minutes. Probably take this as a closing remark from my side for the day. Uh, I just want to speak my heart out for this particular event which has been organized by Exneco. I would like to speak not as a businessman, not as a policy maker, not even as a philanthropist, actually. I want to speak as a father, a global citizen, and above all, a witness to the turning tide of the history. As a legacy investor, I have witnessed firsthand how traditional investment models have failed to account for the true cost of ecological depletion. In the name of GDP, we have poisoned the rivers, we have drained our wetlands, we have monetized distraction, we have taken away those water resources which we had. Um, but today, I wanted to bring a new narrative, in fact, a new class of capital, which I personally is behind it, which is a green capital, a climate capital, or rather a compassionate capital. Investments that do not merely seek return on investment, but return on impact. Investment that plays life, not just liquidity, at the center of the boardrooms. What does this mean for water conservation? Financing natural-based solution, just like what Jubin was vocal about it, like wetland restorations or rainwater harvesting or reforestation. We're not talking about that. Uh, uh, that is a crucial part, to conserve water. Investing in climate smart agriculture that reduces water use while increasing food security. Israel is a big answer for that one. You should really see how the Israelis do their agriculture. Again, empowering women, water stewards, indigenous leaders, and local innovators with microfinancing. Jubin have already touched that subject, and community grants. uh, supporting tech innovators, building AI-driven smart irrigation systems. I've seen one in Israel again, which further discussions are happening as far as investments are concerned. Uh, we will let everybody know about that one very soon if things materialize. And satellite leak detections and water positive infrastructure. We are not talking about theory, we are talking about track records. I've seen projects in several countries like Brazil or Latin American countries, Africa, Asian countries, Middle Eastern countries. Conservation is not a burden at all. It is an opportunity. It is the investment opportunity of the century. What is green investment? That are not just about carbon credits and clean energy. They're about investing in nature's balance sheet. As an investor, we always talk about the balance sheet. Actually, who's that? What is that balance sheet? It is our air, it is our forest, it's our soil, and obviously, yes, our nature is. I mean, the bigger part of a part of our nature is water itself, and this is where the world has lagged. If we want to conserve water, we need to restructure our capital. We must direct green finance towards smart irrigation system, wastewater recycling plants, watershed management and reforestation, community-owned rainwater harvesting system, AI-powered water analytics, water startups led by local women and youth. I'm saying this because we at our organization and personally have financed more than 50 sustainable ventures across the continent. So green capital is not a charity. It is the new currency of resilience, in fact. At First Holdings and Star Partners, which are my companies, we don't chase unicorns, actually. We build impact dragons, ventures that regenerate ecosystem, restore livelihoods, and reimagine what legacy looks like. We have launched a climate capital corridor between Africa, Asia, and Latin America to mobilize capital where water stress is the highest. We have supported She Finance and We Do, empowering women entrepreneurs in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Middle East to lead water innovations at the grassroots. Uh, you know, already have been mentioned about a green bank, which the idea is known to the entire team of Exneco. So that's going to be the first bank which will be only investing in green projects. It's regulatory approvals are already being done. We are just waiting for the right time and the right place to kickstart that operation, and you will all know about that one very soon. And that's going to be the first of its kind in the world. And I want to see more, people thinking in that level and coming to save the world. As a global investor, I say to my peers, actually, your portfolio is your planetary footprint. If your assets are not water positive, they are water destructive. And to the young people, the Gen Z entrepreneurs, activists, coders, farmers, you're not just the future, you're the solution architect of this country. Take your dreams, code them into platforms, build billion-dollar companies that restore watersheds and just wallets. Friends, this summit is not a conference. It's a covenant between generations, between those who come before us and those yet unborn. A covenant that says we will not allow profit to destroy this planet, that we will see and that we will use capital as a force for compassion, that we will make water sacred again. To every innovator, every policymaker, social entrepreneur, or community leader present here, if you're working on a project that is conserving water, restoring ecosystems, or building sustainable futures, I'm more than happy to invest. You heard me right. Whether it is a scalable tech solution or a grassroots water stewardship initiative, I welcome your ideas, your passions, and your boldness. Please feel free to share your project concept, pitch decks of feasibility reports or vision of transformation to Exneco. They know how to get in touch with me. My doors, and more importantly, my capital are open for purpose-led partnership. Because in this mission, we are not competitors. We are co-creators of the world where every drop counts, every voice matter, and every investment built a legacy. And as I said in the beginning, I'm a legacy investor. Let's rise together. Let's flow forward. As a great African proverb goes, and I quote, we did not inherit this earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Let's ensure we return it with more rivers flowing, more forests breathing, more aquifers singing. Let this be the decade where the world finally understand water is not the next oil, it is the first life. And to conserve it, we must invest not only in the system, but in a new story of shared destiny. I thank you, everyone hearing me out. I thank Exneco and the wonderful, team of Exneco for pulling this one, and hope to have more of these kind coming up. And I wish you all the best. And that's all from my side.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manaff, Abdul Manaff. So it was very uh, actually your words touch the heart. Okay, so you not only pointed out on the impact investment, you pointed out all the aspects with respect to why as a human being we need to invest in water, why we need to conserve water. So what a conversation where Mr. Zubin Mishra bring out uh, the end-to-end point of investment banking, sorry, investment impact investment, where he pointed out why exactly it has to be priced and why exactly it has to be regulated. Whereas our Excellency Dr. Abdul Manaf bought not thinking it as an investment, you're thinking is a give back to the society. That's really great, actually. Thanks for that, Dr. Abdul Manaf. Thank you very much, and Mr. Zubin Mishra. It's a wonderful session. So, as both you as a investment capitalist or a corporate finance experts, you brought a right, a meaningful conversation in this topic.